Oklahoma's own News on 6 starts now.
I hear this extremely loud boom and a crash, and it shook the whole house.
Hundreds of thousands have been without power after extremely strong winds swept through our area. Uprooted trees collapsed on homes and knocked down power lines. Crews say it will take days to get electricity back on. People in Ulaga especially hit hard after the National Weather Service confirms a tornado touched down there. And a Creek County man is dead after a tree fell through a house during those storms. First tonight, Oklahomans are picking up the pieces after those overnight severe storms. Thanks for joining us this Sunday night. I'm Chin Doan. Heavy rains and wind gusts reached nearly 100 miles an hour in some places, picking up trees, power poles, and buildings in its path. More than 200,000 customers across Oklahoma have no power. About 170,000 customers in the Tulsa area alone are still in the dark tonight. Thousands of line workers, emergency responders, and city crews throughout the state were out surveying damage today. This is just the start of the likely days-long cleanup efforts. PSO calls it the worst hit to the power system since the 2007 ice storm. Oilton police say a man is dead after a tree fell on his house during the overnight storms. Police say the man's wife and kids went to the hospital and should be okay. Wesley Reeves lives in Oilton and says this is devastating for everyone. He says Oilton is a close-knit community and they will take care of each other.
This community comes together for them, for everybody. We're here for them no matter what.
The name of the man who died has not been released. Our Oklahoma weather experts confirm a tornado touched down in Ulaga this morning. Several buildings were torn apart or blown away, leaving belongings scattered. Brittany Dietrich says most of her family members live down the street, and all of them got some kind of damage to their property after hearing the sirens go off several times.
On the third one, it woke me up, and I got out, looked out the window, and it was just calm. And then I started hearing a big roaring sound like a train coming, and mixture with a jet, and that's how I knew there was a tornado out there.
She says this is the worst damage their family's land has ever had from a storm. First responders across the state had to brave those dangerous conditions while trying to respond to emergencies. As seen here, Sand Springs firefighters were forced to pull over during a call for the storm to pass. While thousands of others in Sand Springs spent today surveying the damage after the devastating storms. News on 6's Caitlin Deggs is live with how they're dealing with it tonight. Caitlin?
Chin, the people I talked to say they aren't really sure what's next, but they say they'll have to take it one day at a time. Tess Mack was downstairs with her family when the storm hit. When she came upstairs, her daughter noticed there was a branch that had crashed through her ceiling.
I quickly just diverted, ran back downstairs and got everyone settled and then assessed the damage and really just could not believe what I saw.
Mack was one of thousands in Sand Springs that woke up to debris all over their homes, yards, and driveways. Many people say after last night, they are still in shock.
Banging and sirens left and right, like maybe every 5 minutes on the dot. There was another siren going off for police or fire or medical, something like that. And this is the most chaotic I've seen it.
Neighbors like Madison Lee spent the day cleaning up and helping others pick up their debris. She says her neighbors across the street had more damage, so they wanted to help.
My boyfriend, he has a great heart. He went and got his Sawzall, and so he was like, come on, let's go get this clear. So we got it clear, but now she can drive out of her driveway. But
Tess is thankful she and her family went downstairs and stayed weather aware, because if not, this storm could have been a whole lot worse.
Especially living in Oklahoma, we've heard sirens like a million times, and so you kind of get immune to those. The sirens were like, it's not that big of a deal. It's just heavy winds. But I'm so thankful this time that I decided to stay safe and take cover because I never know where that branch was going to land if we were all in the living room.
And we'll keep you up to date with the latest information about the storms and about power outages right here at News on 6. Live in Sand Springs, Caitlin Deggs, Oklahoma's own News on 6.
Many people in the Tulsa area woke up to debris scattered across buildings and roads. Power outages mean hundreds of intersections turned to four-way stops as the lights went dark. City crews closed off large sections of roads as they worked to fix nearly 250 broken power poles. Parts of Highway 169 were closed briefly for workers, and the Gilcrease Expressway I-244 and 41st, I-44 rather, and 41st is closed because of a downed power line. Now take a look at Liberty Tower near 15th and Boulder. Winds and debris collapsed part of a cinder block wall on top of cars parked inside the garage. Damage at the Tulsa County Fairgrounds forced a big horse show to end early. The Pinto World Championship show announced it's canceling the rest of its sessions. Video from Osage Sky News 6 shows damage to the roofs of the big barns, as well as some of the horse trailers. Organizers say they closed early because of the damage and lack of electricity. And parts of the Reynolds Center at the University of Tulsa is damaged after one of the football stadium lights toppled back and fell onto the building. The wind bent the light's metal frame. Several trees around the campus were also bent or snapped. We now go to meteorologist Aaron Reeves in the Bob Mills Weather Center. After severe storms, high temperatures this week could make things worse and even dangerous for those without power. Aaron?
Yeah, that's going to be an issue here over the next couple of days as they restore power. We're going to see those temperatures really climb up, and without AC, it's going to be tough sailing. This afternoon, we cleared out, ended up with pretty good weather, temperatures in the 80s with sunshine. We're going to add a good 10 degrees in some places to these temperatures. We're not seeing a whole lot happening across our neck of the woods. Our storm system pulling away, still a lot of severe weather with that, but not for us, for the southeast right now. Temperatures 70s, a few locations have cooled down into the upper 60s. Tulsa, the warm spot at 78 overnight tonight. We're going to talk about clear skies, those temperatures down into the 60s for overnight lows, but we rebound back into the 90s tomorrow. Heat advisories in place. We'll have more details on that. And the latest on those tornadoes, they've actually moved that up to 3 now. So we're going to talk about the latest on those here in just a few minutes.
Tulsa Mayor G.T. Bynum has signed a declaration of emergency for the city. He says crews are out in every part of the city responding to downed power lines, debris, water breaks, and gas leaks. The mayor says the best thing people can do to help is stay home and stay safe.
I think my number one request of Tulsans is if you can stay at home tonight, please do so.
Mayor Bynum says all but 5 main streets have been cleared, and crews will start moving to neighborhood streets when those main streets are done. The city has several different phone lines set up for reporting damage and accidents to keep one number from getting too busy. Those numbers to call are on your screen there. Now call 911 for emergencies like gas leaks, fires, and injuries. The National Weather Service has issued a heat advisory that goes into effect tomorrow for several counties around Green Country. For those needing a cool place to stay, the Red Cross has opened an overnight shelter in Tulsa at Crosstown Church of Christ near Admiral and Harvard. 5 other cooling stations will also be open across the city tomorrow. Those include Reed Park Community Center and Lacey Park Community Center. The hours are from 2 to 8 p.m. You can also charge phones and medical equipment at those stations and also get food and supplies. You can go to newson6.com for a complete list of locations and hours. Well, cleanup has just started across Green Country as many people continue to recover from the overnight storms. We'll hear from a Tulsa woman who says she's actually thankful there wasn't more damage after a tree here fell into her home. Plus, how the storm affected Edison High School's biggest band fundraiser of the year. People around Green Country are surveying the damage from overnight storms, seeing what's salvageable and what needs to be fixed. We visited with a homeowner near 51st and Yale who is shocked at what is still standing. Oklahomans are familiar with the damage that comes with severe weather.
So we're used to this, but not quite this used to it.
Gina True lives near 51st and Yale. She shows us what overnight storms did to her home.
Well, we heard the tree hit, and then, of course, you kind of waited for a few minutes, and then I started checking rooms. This was the first room I checked, and you can see the ceiling now is on the floor.
True says her old pecan tray split in half, fell through her attic and on top of her dining room. Her ceiling is now wide open and the fan barely hanging on. Outside, there's plenty of debris, but True is amazed at how much is still standing too.
But if you notice, and this is unbelievable, Not one pot broke. I didn't pick a pot up. All that glassware was in this room because I do parties, and the ceiling came down. Not one thing broke.
Drew has no electricity and says even when power is restored, it'll be a while before she can turn her lights on.
It was raining through the fixture, and so we can't turn our power back on, and you can tell where it's buckling.
The storm may have left a shattered window, collapsed roof, and plenty to clean up, but at least it didn't take away this homeowner's sense of humor.
But I'm kind of tired of that, so it's been there for 25 years.
Now, we also talked to a neighbor who had his big tree knocked down. He says the tree had a dozen nests full of blue herons, so neighbors are trying to save as many birds as possible. Well, after the widespread storms hit Green Country overnight and many people are without power, Aaron says this week could be dangerously hot across the Osage Casino Skycam network. Plus, how the Edison High School band is trying to save what's left of their fireworks fundraiser. The damaging overnight storms happened to hit during the first weekend of fireworks sales in our area. The wind tore apart a fireworks stand at 101st and Memorial run by the Edison High School band. The rain destroyed the fireworks, so the band was there cleaning up the mess today and missing sales from their largest fundraiser of the year. But they're putting up a new tent tomorrow with a new shipment of fireworks.
From the Bob Mills Weather Center, meteorologist Aaron Reeves.
Well, it was a busy night last night. Lots of damage, as you've seen all newscasts long. Hopefully we can get things cleaned up, but it is going to take a while. Here's some more of that 46th Memorial. This business's roof was severely damaged by the wind and those storms last night, as was many other locations. Most residential streets in Tulsa looked similar to this. Lots of tree damage. Muskogee, no different. And lots of locations around Green Country seeing this. Collinsville, this barn was flipped over. Pretty crazy night. It was a long night. Really the entire state. Lots of big time storm reports, lots of wind. We had at least 4 tornadoes reported the way things look right now. A little bit of hail, but most of that was out west. Once that got into our neck of the woods, it was mostly a big time wind deal, and that main stretch with the strongest winds occurred from Stillwater through the Tulsa metro, and then we had a couple of spin up tornadoes that developed as it moved east of Tulsa, so a very, very busy night across Green Country. Once again, those 3 tornadoes, one southwest of Oologah, one near Chelsea, and then one further to the east there around Lake Hudson, northwest of Salina, west of Spavinal. All 3 of those rated currently at EF1, so a pretty busy morning for us all across pretty much the entirety of Green Country. Wind gusts pretty widespread, especially in that swath along 412. Wind gusts 60 to 90 or more miles per hour. Tulsa's airport 77, but a train spotter in Tulsa reported a 100 mile per hour gust that knocked out a ton of power in addition to all the damage. And still well over 100,000 customers without power across Green Country, which is problematic because heat's going to be building back in, and a lot of these locations are going to take a few days to get the power fixed. So heat advisories for the Tulsa Metro tomorrow. Not a good deal. A lot of people are going to be without air conditioning, so just make sure you know where cooling stations are and have a plan for if you need to go cool off. Our storm system has moved well enough to the east. Lots of severe weather ongoing in the southeastern United States. Several tornado warnings in Mississippi. In the wake of that, really a pretty nice afternoon, so good for cleanup. Sunshine temperatures ranging through the 80s for highs today. But we go up from here. Average highs this time of year, just kind of right around 90 degrees. We're going to be near or above that over the coming days. Heat index values, it's going to be stuffy. They're going to be a few degrees warmer than that, and that's why we have that heat advisory tomorrow. Rain chances, for the most part, pretty low over the coming several days as ridging returns to the area and allows for things to be pretty quiet. 78, not much wind out there. Dew point at 66. It's humid. It is stuffy. Temperatures 70s, some 60s as well. And we'll see those temperatures primarily drop down into the 60s during the overnight hours and then rolling into the afternoon hours. Lots of sunshine, those high temperatures rebounding into the low and mid 90s, southwestern Oklahoma in the 100s, and then we're just going to kind of rinse and repeat that as we head into Tuesday. So be ready for the big time summer heat to start. Kind of our first real stretch of a lot of days in the 90s this season. So It'll take a little bit of getting used to, and unfortunately, a lot of people are going to have to get used to it without power, which is going to be problematic.
Right.
So once again, just know what you need to do in case you're in that situation.
And also make use of the cooling stations
Yes,
we have
that's a
all
good
around
idea.
town, and call those helplines if you need it. All right, thanks for joining us tonight. Next is the Oklahoma Report Sports Blitz with John Holcomb and Dean Blevins. Have a wonderful and happy and safe Father's Day.